it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm doing a junk journal page using molding or modeling paste as texture in my junk journal. And I was thinking about this, I did this during the live stream, and I was thinking yesterday, how do I do molding or modeling paste on a live stream show because it has to have time to dry. And so I came up with this idea that I could use rice paper and I could do different techniques like putting it through the stencils, writing in it, making marks with things like combs or forks or skewers, all the different types of ways that you can make texture with this type of acrylic paste medium. And then I could let it dry on the rice paper, and then I would have it to use later. So I have these dry pieces, 4 pieces of rice paper that I did different types of textures on, already dried overnight. And I used 3 different types of molding or modeling paste because I was trying out the different types, like the light molding paste, which dries quicker, but it has a spongy, rough texture. The regular golden molding paste, which has a slick, rubbery texture. And then this Art Basics one, which is opaque and is kind of also slick, but pure white, not see-through. Then I found another one this morning. It was the Deco Art one. This product, this acrylic medium for making texture, is in all the brands. And sometimes it's called molding paste, sometimes it's called modeling paste, but it is the same thing. So I found a picture, I printed it out on my laser printer because I wanted to have a face and I wanted to build up my texture around the face. Now, I did find that this worked really well. So even if you have drying time, you might want to try making some sheets of texture papers on rice paper or tissue or something like that. Even the other extra pieces of your napkin, that's a little bit flimsy, but I think it would work. Just to have on hand, because sometimes if you want to use, like say you want to make a texture with multiple different stencils, you go and you take this piece of stencil, or maybe you just want to use one stencil but you want to move it around and make the texture in different areas. Constantly you make this beautiful section of texture and then you move the stencil and you get this back of the stencil flopped into this section you just did, right? Has that happened to anyone? I mean, I'm sure it has. It's so annoying. So if you have these pieces that you can tear or cut up and put them down with matte medium like I'm doing here, then you won't have that squishing of the wet texture in the background while you're trying to put it in another area. So this worked really well. So I'm just taking different pieces off of the ones that I made. I'm cutting them. You could tear them. Tearing would be better because you could get more blending in, but I'm just using some scissors and then applying them onto the page using Liquitex matte gel medium. And that really, it sticks it down. You can't really see the rice paper anymore. You just see the texture. It worked beautifully. So I think that this is a good technique to use for anybody who wants to add texture in their journals. And maybe they don't want to wait for it to dry. So on a day that you can't figure out what you want to do and you're just kind of not motivated to do anything, you might want to just sit down and make a bunch of pieces of texture paper with molding or modeling paste, whatever one you have, and just save them for later. I like it. I think it worked out well. So this month in our Art Joy Sharing Art community over on Facebook, our theme is hashtag AJOS mediums. And so last week on the live stream, I did gesso. This week, I'm doing molding paste. Probably next live stream, I'll do maybe some of the specialty pastes like fiber paste and grit paste and glass bead gel, and all those weird ones that make other strange textures. But that's what we're talking about this month in Art Drive Sharing, is how to use all these mediums that are on the market. And this is just molding paste or modeling paste or, that. I did find out when I was, these 2 big jars at the top are Golden brand, and one of them is light molding paste, and that one is the spongy one. I found out that that one is opaque white, and the other one, the regular golden molding paste, is actually semi-translucent. So why does that make a difference? If you want to tint your paste that you're going to use for texture on your project, use the regular molding paste, because when you put acrylic paint in it to tint it, it doesn't change the lightness of the color. If you mix it with white, you're making a tint, right? So you're making it lighter, you're making a pastel. If you mix it with the one that's just semi-translucent, it doesn't change it. And then that way you get the color that you want without constantly lightening the color. So that does make a difference. I've never really paid attention. I don't tint my molding paste very often, but I might try it. I might mess around with it a little bit. So now I've got everything glued down. I did give it a little dry with the heat tool, and I'm now applying some fluid acrylic paint. This is DecoArt Media fluid paint. I like it. It's easy to paint with, and I'm painting over the textured paper areas. I also used a I used a Posca pin, a fine tip Posca pin, to make illustration lines on my picture that I had stuck down on there, because I've been amused lately with this new app that came out. Everyone's amused with it. If you look on Facebook, everybody's changing their Facebook profiles to look like this. You take a picture and then you put it through the app and it makes it look like a painting. And then there's other ones there that make it look like an illustration, a cartoon. I mean, you can change your pictures into other stuff. For artists like me, it's like, dude, why are you making it so easy to change a picture into, a portrait into a painting? That's not fair. That's not easy to do, in real life. But it sure is easy on this app, and it was fun. I was playing with it. And so that's why I put the illustration lines on. I thought it might be kind of fun to make this picture look like one of those things that's artificially painted with an application. So the color I started out with was cyan blue, which is like a bright blue. Now in the background here, on this page, remember this is a junk journal. It was made out of cardboard envelopes that stencils come in from Stencil Girl, and then it was tab bound. You've seen this one come up lately on my feed. I've been trying to finish it. This is actually the last page. The only thing left is the back cover is not decorated, but all the pages are done in this one, which is like, I mean, wow. I'm so into making art journals that I rarely finish art journals, but this one is now pretty much completed. I do need to do something on the back cover, but I don't know. We'll see. So when I made this, as I was gessoing the pages, because it's cardboard, I put gesso on all the pages and just went through and did them. And I stuck down pieces of napkin and tissue onto the pages with gesso. So I like this piece of tissue that's in the background. It's now almost obliterated, but it had these loose flowers in greens and blues. And so that's what led me to decide that her hair was going to be blue and that the background would be kind of a yellow-green. And then, of course, the complementary color to blue is orange. And so I used a red-orange on her shirt or jacket or whatever that is. And it's got texture. The hair has, everything on the page has texture. I know that it's hard to see that on the video, but there will be close-ups at the end where you can really see the texture come out. Also, when I start to do some dry brushing and dripping over it, dripping then dry brushing, you'll be able to see the texture more, because that's what this whole page is about, is a texture. So I am using some Neocolor 2 water-soluble crayons to color her skin. There was, the picture was shorter, and so there was a section down at the bottom that was just the page underneath, and I wanted to blend all that in, and I wanted to make it look more like a painting. So I'm painting it so that it will look like a painting. At some point it got out of control a little bit and started to look super ugly. But everything has an ugly stage, and you can bring it back eventually. So I tried to bring it back eventually. It's still not perfect, but I decided to stop fussing with it. Sometimes when you're doing something like this, you can't stop messing with it, and you just keep adding more and more and more layers, and you lose track of your original idea because you're focused on playing with the colors and the shadows and the highlights, and you stop thinking about what your original idea was. So that's what happened here. Plus, I was on a live stream, and you're trying to get this stuff done fast, so it got a little bit out of control on the face, but it turned out fine in the end. It's just one of those things that happens. I think I lost the chin line is what happened, actually. Now that I look at the finished piece, her chin is different than that in the original picture. But, I've obliterated the picture so much that no one could tell who it was originally anyway. So now I'm doing some dripping, and I started out with some red on the jacket over that red orange, and the liquid ink goes down. It's acrylic ink. That's what it is. It's fluid acrylic ink. It goes down into the texture and highlights the texture some. So then I got this blue one out, and I was looking for a dark blue, and I found this indigo, and I thought it would go down into the areas of texture on the hair and really make it stand out more. And then I let it go over the texture on the whole page, basically. And that one area in the center where the swag type shape is, that is the light molding paste, and it's almost it's spongy. It's rough. It doesn't look like the rest of it. And in the close-ups, you'll be able to see that there really is a difference between that texture paste and the more rubbery one that's kind of almost repelling the fluid. The spongy one almost kind of absorbs it. And I use that light molding paste all the time because it dries quickly, and I can heat tool it really quick and dry it. And I actually prefer the rubbery one a lot more than that one. So I don't know why I keep buying that light one. I just need to stop because I like the texture of the other one better. It takes longer to dry, that's why. So then I had wanted to keep the flowers, and so I'm kind of bringing them back with white. The colors of the original scribbly flowers were green and blue, but that's almost pretty much gone. So I'm using this Posca brush pen. It's not the same as the regular Posca pen that has a harder nib. This one has an actual brush, but it's the same acrylic ink that's inside a regular Posca pen. It's opaque, it's very white, and you just have to mess with this brush, and it's different. I have the black and the white in the brush pen, and it's kind of a new thing for me. I haven't used it very often. So, kind of fun. It has a little end that you put back on so that the thing, that's got like a little press button that you dispense it with a little bit to get it flowing. And you want to put that cap back on so it doesn't accidentally get pressed and leak all over the place. And then it, of course, has a cap that goes over the top to keep it fresh. So now I am dry brushing, and I started with the bright green color. I had toned down the green when I painted out the back by taking that yellow green and adding just a drop of violet to it to make it more calm. So I thought that this full strength bright green would dry brush over it and make it highlight. But I actually ended up, I think, putting white on at some point. Then I found a word to put on there because the word to me had something to do with the flowers as well as something to do with growing in your art and maybe not always using a person who is the same skin tone as you. It is a natural inclination when doing portraiture for most people to draw something that looks like them. We don't intentionally do it. It's just a natural thing that happens because what person do you see every day in the mirror? You see, for me, a white, blue-eyed person with brown hair every day. Sometimes my hair is purple, but you know what I'm saying. That's what I see. So that's the most common thing for me to do. But I should stretch that out. I should use other people of other ethnicities in my art. So that's why I picked a person of color instead. And I also added like the spiral and the squiggly type texture lines because my hair is very straight. Well, actually, it's not perfectly straight. It's wavy, but not curly. I wished it was curly. I wished it was thick and curly. It's not. It's fine, thin, and just kind of wavy. So this girl obviously has super curly hair. In the picture she did, of course, I covered it all up, but that's why I added the textures up at the top that I did with the wavy texture and the curly textures because that was highlighting the hair that she has. So, yeah, that's what the grow was about. Growing in your art, changing what you do every single time to something different. This is very different. I don't normally do, well, I've never done a page with pre-dried texture paper before because I've never made it before. And I have done ethnic looking people, but more, if you said draw a person, I would just automatically draw a white, blue-eyed person. That's natural inclination. So don't beat yourself up about it. If you're in this day and age, it seems like you're going to get, if if you don't do it exactly right, you will get canceled. So I'm telling you, it is a natural thing to just tend to draw the kind of shapes that you see in the mirror. So then the next thing that I'm doing is I'm adding some of that orange, and I'm using a Posca pen into the flowers to bring that color across the other side of the page because it was just really isolated in that one area. And I also outlined one side of the word with the orange pen as well. And then I thought, I shouldn't have made her lips pink when she's wearing an orange outfit. People would wear orange lipstick if they were wearing an orange, a dark red orange outfit like that. They would match their makeup. Well, some people would match their makeup to their clothing. So I changed the colors, and then it was getting weird. It was looking weird. So I kind of continued to use these Neocolor 2 water soluble crayons right to the skin, and continued to add shadow and highlight, and make it more visually interesting. This was after the camera went off. At this point, the camera's off. I mean the live stream camera's off, and I just have my phone on, still filming. As I'm doing this is what I call the fussing. This is the fussing. And I could probably do the fussing forever. I could just continue to fuss forever. I finally have to just tape my hands to the desk and make me stop. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you like the idea of maybe making some texture paper for yourself using molding or modeling paste, depending on what brand you have. It's got two different names. It's the same stuff. It's an acrylic medium that's used for making texture in lots of different ways. I think that my exclusive content for the members this month on the 15th is going to be about texture paste and creating texture in your art. And maybe because it's a full length video, it'll have a little bit more detail about using those products. So if you haven't joined my membership yet, it's $1.99 a month, and you have to go to a browser like Chrome or Safari or whatever, and pull up www.youtube.com to find the join button. I know people are frustrated with that. That has to do with the beta of the program, but you can join. You can see all the other content that was from the previous months when you join for $1.99. It's a pretty darn good deal. It's less than your coffee, and you get something that no one else can get each month. Anyway, I wandered off track. Give me a thumbs up, comment, or question below. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.